It is time to get our hands dirty and do some network analysis. Along with this video, you should have a given dataset and a document dealing in a step-by-step way on how you go about building and analyzing a network. The step-by-step example that we provide is using R. Now, some of you might ask, what is R? R is a programming language and a free software environment for statistical computing and graphics. Why did we choose R? Well, let me give you 5 reasons. Firstly, R is free. Free to install, free to use, to update, to clone, to modify, to redistribute, even to sell. And you can find installations for R for all the major operating systems, Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. R is also popular among students, researchers, employers, and data scientists. R is powerful and very stable for handling large data sets. And you can quite easily do parallel computing. R is also flexible, so it is a cool tool that you can use for your day-to-day statistical analyses and graphics, also GIS and spatial analysis, and even interactive web applications. You can also combine your analysis and the documentation at once. The PDF reader that accompanies this video was in its entirety produced in R. Finally, R is very well supported. So whether you do a general Google search or hang around Stack Overflow or R Blogger, you will find a huge amount of help and support if you do get stuck. If you are familiar with R already, then great stuff. If not, you'll have to first do a bit of a primer. In that case, this slide is for you. We can unfortunately not cover R in this video, but that's also good because there are great resources already out there, and that means we will simply duplicate. First, you will need to get and install R. Although you can work directly in R's graphical user interface, or GUI for short, I would really recommend that you install R Studio. It too is free for personal use and just makes your life so much easier. Once you have R up and running in your GUI of choice, you are ready to get going with your primer and training. There are the R Studio Essentials videos on R Studio's website, but my recommendation would be to look at the nice interactive R courses that are available on DataCamp. There are a number of free introductory courses on R, and I believe they all use R Studio as the GUI. Now, let's get busy. Similar to the 2013 article that I wrote with Kai Oxhausen from ETH, we are going to use commercial vehicle movement to study how firms are connected in a city. What do I mean by that? Let's say there is a truck that leaves the factory and it makes a trip by driving with its goods to a warehouse. And say the factory is given an index or a name or an ID of 830 and the warehouse an index of 531. Next, the truck makes a second trip and travels to a commercial building with an index 586. And the truck keeps making trips throughout the rest of the day until eventually it returns to the factory 830. This sequence of activities of the truck is called its activity chain, or it can be called the truck's tour. Along with this video, you should have access to a comma-separated value file called tours.csv, in which we've given you a whole bunch of tours of commercial vehicles traveling in an urban setting. Unfortunately, in this video, we cannot give you their locations because that is sensitive information. That is also why we simply refer to each of these facilities by a number. When you look at this file, you will see that it has 4 columns. Each line or record is a trip. The first column tells you the tour number to which the trip belongs. The second column tells you the trip's position in the tour. The third column tells you the facility number where the trip originated, and the fourth is the facility number where the trip ended. So, looking at the first records of the file, we see that the first tour's first trip started at facility 830 and ended at facility 531. Rings a bell? Then the first tour's second trip started at facility 531 and ended at 586. From 586, the vehicle next went to 282, then 688, then 33, and then returned to 830. You get the idea, right? So that's the data file. And along with this presentation, you also have a PDF document called Hands-On. And your job is to work through it as it provides step-by-step examples on how to build a network from this trip data that we provide. So, let's just look at what's in the document. Throughout the document, you will find descriptive text that explains the process. Then, in these light gray boxes, you will find the commands that you have to execute in R. Copy and paste them or type them in line by line and hit the Enter key after each line. And then these lines with the two hashes in front is what R will produce as a result of your command. Now, we haven't always included the results in the PDF document, as it is sometimes quite a lot. Now, it's time to get your hands dirty and start working through the PDF file. Two last comments. Firstly, note where you save your data file to, because when reading it in, you'll have to provide R with the correct path to the file. Secondly, we note at the start of the document that you will use some additional R libraries that you may not have installed on your computer. The command you use for that in R is appropriately named install.packages. And here is an example of how you will install the iGraph package. The first argument is the package name that you want to install. And the second argument tells R to also install all the dependencies that iGraph may have on other packages and libraries. That just means you give R the authority to also install those packages. And with that, it's time to get your hands dirty with some network analysis. Enjoy.